Hey, what's up, you guys? Thank you again for tuning in. And as always, we really do appreciate it. Before we start, just real quick to make sure that if you don't know, make sure you check out our webpage, Samba Tree. Again, that's sambatree.com, where we have all kinds of wonderful natural products. That's what we're about, 100% natural things for our bodies. You know, we're in a time right now where people are really focusing on, and it's a good thing, you know, on our health and making sure that we're taking in the right things, you know, and we're very much on this platform committed to just that and providing you with different things that are good for your body, not just taking internally, but also things, you know, externally too, you know, when it comes to our lotions and dental stuff and all of that. These are things that not only that, you know, are good for you, but we also try these things out here ourselves. And if it passed our family's test, then I'm sure we're very confident it will most certainly pass your test as well. And that's why we love what we do here, because everything that we sell here are things that we have tried here ourselves, and we're always adding brand new things all the time. So again, the website is Samba Tree, SAMBA tree.com. Okay, so today we're going to briefly talk about, I have said this many times before, but you know, as always, we'll get people who will look at the thumbnail and they will immediately go to the comment section and have their whole dissertation already typed out and ready to go. Okay, but for those that have a little bit of attention span, what I'm hoping is you'll hear me out as we're getting into the meat of this discussion here. I have said many times before, again, that in terms of the actual argument for reparations, I'm 100% for it. All right. I do believe, yes, that yes, this country, this system that this country operates on would not have gotten to where it is today if it wasn't for slave labor. Now, there's some people that watch and will say, hey, listen, well, what about the Irish, or what about these other people? And here's the thing. Yes, you did come in as slaves, but however, the Irish didn't have a Jim Crow situation that was established for decades. You understand what I'm saying? This was, you know, so not only did we have the slavery thing, but we also had the old Jim Crow situation. Now, Jim Crow, you may think, oh, that was just a bunch of rules or whatever. But yeah, these rules, however, were designed to keep us out economically for a number of years, even those that may be Irish. Now, the Irish, you know, for those that are Irish or whatever white groups that may have come in and also came in as slaves initially, you were able to bank. There were a lot of things you were able to do and to move your family forward economically, as opposed to us, where sight seen, we were already rejected. And this is not a victim. I'm the victim. I'm the victim. I'm the victim. No, it's about making things right. Because if you can make firm arguments for Jews when it comes to the Holocaust, then I don't see the problem when it comes to those that went through something that was, in my estimation, was way worse than any account of the Holocaust. And that is, you know, what took place during the transatlantic slave trade. Okay, so these are just historical facts. That's it. And, you know, and again, if you okay with one, then you should have no problem with this. It's just as simple as that. So I don't see a problem with it. I don't have any problems with it. Now, do I believe that this nation will write one big jumbo check for black people? Absolutely not. I don't. Because that's not how this system operates, especially when it comes to black folks. That's just how it's set up. Okay. You know, they'll do a little things here. They'll do a little bit here or there, whatever. But this, you know, this system is not designed like that to, you know, to give, you know, those that they take advantage of opportunities to one day run the system. You know what I'm saying? That's not going to happen. And when you're demanding a tune of billions and billions and billions of dollars, that's a lot of money. That's a whole lot. And that lot of money can do a lot of things. And but no, they're not going to do that. They may give you little handouts here and there, but that's about it. And that's just 100% facts. So So I think that's just what it is, because if they were committed to it, if this was something that was very serious about, then we wouldn't need all of these whatever, these different we're going to commit to studying it and figuring it out and all this stuff, and that's what we're going to get into. So I just want to be very clear before, as we're launching into this, and so that you're going to understand why I'm doing this video. But I wanted you to know where I'm coming from when it comes to reparations, so that's clear, and hopefully your attention span was long enough to hear that part. Now I have to say that for some people, because it's just, I don't know. You don't catch them in the first minute, they just are gone. Anyway, let me share you. This is a tweet that I came across today. Let me go to the page. It was, I don't know, not familiar with this woman. Her name is Camelia Young, and she's an attorney. She's the chair of the California Reparations Task Force. As you know, state of California, they have been making a lot of waves, or creating a lot of noise when it comes to the reparations movement out there. And they've had panel discussions and all of that stuff, right? And so she posted this recently, okay? And I'm just going to share it with you. Okay, it's up right there. Okay. I want you to, we're going to read this together. Okay. So it says, historic movement. Okay. So when I'm reading this, that's what I'm expecting. Historic movement. California commits $12 million for 2024-2025 to begin implementing reparations for descendants of slaves, making a significant step towards justice. All right. This is the first such commitment since Florida's Rosewood Massacre reparations, and before that, during Reconstruction. Note, the funding supports bills that may be enacted into law, so continued advocacy is crucial. And then she gives the information there, right? So she says the funding supports bills that may be enacted into law. All right. So that's what this 12 million. It's kind of the way it's worded, all right? Because here's how it's worded here. California commits $12 million for the 2024-2025 to begin implementing reparations. So when I read that, what it's telling me is, oh, they're getting ready to start issuing out some money, right? And making a significant step towards justice, all right? But then when you jump down here, it says this funding supports bills that may be enacted into law. So is the money not going into the hands of the descendants of slaves? Well, we're going to try to clear this up a little bit here, okay? And so, and then she has this here. She circles it. It says reparation implementation funding. The budget provides $12 million for, to begin implement reparations legislation that may be enacted into law based on future enacted legislation. All right. So basically, what she's saying here is that it doesn't look like it's going directly into the hands of the descendant of slaves. Okay. But the way it's worded on the top here, it's making it sound like to some degree it is. But what we're going to do here, I'm going to explain both of those scenarios. Okay. Now, the first thing, let's just go with what typically people would key off of. And it's this first part right here. All right. So let's just say this 12 million is going to go towards directly into the hands of the descendant of slaves. Again, we're going to look at both parts here. All right. So let's just say that for a second. Okay. All right. So I went ahead and did some math on this, and I want you to follow along. All right. So $12 million. And in the state of California, you can Google this real quick. It's roughly 2.2 million people who claim to be African American. Now, for those that are listening to me and say, well, yeah, that's what they're claiming, but are they really? Okay, so let's knock it down to so we'll knock that down to 1 million. All right, we'll knock that down to 1 million in a little bit. But let's just go along with the numbers that we do know. It says 2.2, but I'm just going to go ahead and say 2.3. All right. I'm just going to round it. I'm going to round it up to 2.3. So $12 million dispersed amongst 2.3 million people that call themselves African American. You know what that equates to? $5.21. That's right. $5.21. All right. So let's move down to what if it was only 1 million people? Let's just say out of the 2.3 mil, it's really 1 million people who can trace their roots to the transatlantic slave trade, that they were in fact slaves, right? Okay, so let's just say if it's 1 million people, what would that equate to? Well, I hope you got your calculator out, because it is a little bit more. How much more? Oh, it's approximately $12 a person. Now, I want to talk about this side of it first. And like I said, again, then we're going to talk about the research side secondly. Because when you hear these numbers, a lot of times people are jumping for joy. You're saying this is a historic progress. If you're talking direct disbursement, which I don't think she is, it's just like I said, again, the way it's worded, it can go either way. But we're just saying that if it's direct disbursement of funds, $12 million. And by the time it gets into your hands, you're looking at, if it's 2.3 mil, $5.21. You might be able to get a good drink with that. And then when you go up to if let's say go down to 1 million, well, that's about $12. You would barely be able to get a Chipotle bowl with that. So when you hear these numbers being thrown around, we're not talking small money here. Okay. I mean, we're talking small money. That's what I meant to say. You're talking tiny money. You may not have 12 million in your account, and that may sound like a whole lot. To most of us, that's what it's a lot. But when you start doing the numbers, it really isn't. Nobody that's about serious business wouldn't even have made that into a tweet. They wouldn't have. That is not serious business. I don't care what you say. That's not doing anything to anybody. It really isn't. And this is and there's similar stories throughout the country where you'll hear, they're allocating this, that, or whatever, right? But now let's go to the other side of this, because it's important for us to cover both sides, since her tweet is kind of like, is it direct, or, is it going towards the study of it? Which, by the way, when you look at when Jewish groups, for example, when they were getting their money for their Holocaust, I don't really recall all of these studies that had to be funded. Now, let's talk about that side for a second. When they say, this goes towards pushing the legislation. So wait a minute now. So we gotta pay money to push legislation. That's how this works. Okay, that may, so you got lawyers involved, right? There's also research. You got to research. You got to pay people that do research. So it may be college professors. It may be accountants. I mean, it can be anybody, right? But what I challenge you, for those of you who are the pro reparations people, the number one thing I would say is that you better make sure you know how to do numbers, and you know how to do math, and you have good sense in your brain. Okay? Because here are the pieces that are not being accounted for. Now, she mentioned in her bio that she's an attorney. Attorneys have fees, right? And when you're doing business for the government, like if you're contracting for the government, anybody that does contract work with the government will tell you it's the best ticket in town, because as a government contractor, they will tell you that they can pretty much charge. Once you get that contract, you can charge pretty much anything you want. And it's a lot of under the table stuff that's going on here. And so, for example, let's say on some of these boards, which I'm not saying this is what's happening, but I'm just only speaking on what I know in terms of the government space. All right. I used to work for a government contractor, and I know many people who have and do. And I'm telling you right now, it's a very shady, very gray space. Very much as a gray space where you can basically, the key is getting that contract. Once you get that contract, you can pretty much charge anything you want. So we have these organizations like this one right here. Let me pull this one up. I can't speak on what they have done, that maybe they're not doing this stuff. So I'm not saying that this organization isn't legit. Okay. So let me be clear. This is the National African American Reparations Commission. Okay. I am not speaking on, again, I don't know the people that are behind this. I've never met them. I don't know any of the sort. Okay. So I'm just being very open and straight up with you when it comes to this. Right. But here's the thing. If they are leading the charge in this in the state of California, this organization, if they're leading the charge in this, what it means is that somebody's getting paid. Okay, you don't set all this stuff up and ain't nobody getting paid. And trust me, if you got, this is, I think they're leading the charge in New York. This group is. If you got someone like this man right here, Al Sharpton, in the mix, trust and know he's getting a check. So the question that you should be asking as someone that is a pro reparations individual is, for these bills that are being, they're saying that we're going to put aside, like in this case here, this is $5 million for Reparations Commission in New York's budget. This happened, it happened in May. $5 million for Reparations Commission. All right, we're moving forward. We're moving forward. Okay, well, who is getting that $5 million, and who exactly is getting paid for what? See, these are the type of questions that a lot of our people, because our proclivity not to read the fine print and to ask technical questions, this stuff most of the time will go way over our heads. I would guarantee you that the vast majority of black folks who are out here tweeting, doing videos saying that they're pro reparations and all of that, and will argue down for it, they will not ask the questions that I am listing out here. For, like I said, for example, who exactly is doing this quote unquote research? Are they connected in any way to the people in these organizations? Meaning, are they family members? How long have they been doing this type of research? What is their body of work to show that they are qualified to do that? What are they charging for their services? See, for simple minds, that goes way over your head. Dwayne, we don't care about that and all that. Well, you better care about it. Because what I would tell you is that they're getting their reparations right now. With these bills, they're getting, Al Sharpton, he's getting his reparations right now, thanks to bills like this. Because that's what they charge. They may say, well, we need a very famous face, and Al Sharpton is one of them. And so part of the $5 million could be him showing up and having for a few minutes, giving a rally call for it at some event, and then he backs off and then he's gone. And then just for him to show up, it may be $50,000. It may be $100,000. And that's all that it goes to. You understand what I'm saying? You may have people in these commissions and stuff that may have cousins and aunties or whatever that got a little side hustle going on. And they say, well, listen, I could do some internet searches right quick for you or whatever. They say, okay, go ahead and get your EIN number, because you got to be set up as like a legitimate business, and do your research or whatever. And, just, do a few internet searches for us. Just make it look pretty or whatever. And then we got your check for $20,000 in the mail. Again, I am not saying that these organizations are factually doing it, because trust and know, I am looking. And if I come across the facts on that, if they're doing it or not, this platform right here would definitely point it out. But what I am saying is nobody at all that I'm aware of is even asking these questions, because what I just described to you is a very common practice in the government space. You got people that pull this stuff all the time. You never hear about, so when you hear about, oh, they got $5 million, it's going towards what? You got to pay this person on, you got to pay that person on, you got to pay this. We ain't got no solid ground to talk about countries like Nigeria or Ghana. You know, you got African Americans that have been going over there and complaining about all the, you know, the culture where you got to pay this person off or pay that person off. That's DC all day. That sounds a lot like Washington, DC to me. That stuff happens all the time over here. Do you understand what I'm saying? In spaces like Washington, DC, please, that's how they operate. And so, but the people who are pushing reparations, they're not raising these issues, or what I'm saying right now. So what was the number? $12 million. Okay, what percentage of that, where is that 12 million actually going to then? If it's not going into the hands of the actual people, who is it going towards? Do you understand what I'm saying? And so we don't read, because as black folks, more often than not, many of black folks don't read the fine print. Man, could we not have learned any lesson from the housing bubble from back in the early 2000s? When they just said, just sign it and you don't have to worry about interest rate. Your interest rate is going to be like 0.2. Your interest rate is like nothing. And then a year out, now all of a sudden your interest rate done shot up to like 15% or something crazy. Well, I didn't know. They didn't tell me. Of course they didn't, but they did put it in writing. And they had you point right to that line where you signed, because they knew you would not take the time to read it. And what I'm saying to you right now is that this is the same thing that's happening with this whole reparations movement. There are, in fact, a lot of people that are making a ton of money telling you, hey, let's rally here, let's do this and let's do that, let's make our voices heard about it. Let me be clear. Let me tell you some of the people that are making a lot of money off of. Of course, you got on the top, near the top of that list, of course, you got people like Tariq Nasheed, who done rallied Negroes up on this whole issue, divided black folks up, and trying to get this black group of black people against that group of black people, while at the same time pushing reparations. And then at the same time, coming up with these little projects, we're going to build our own museum. And then the museum turns out to be some kind of comedy club. It ain't even a real museum. Then scam these people out of almost $2 million from what I recall, almost $2 million. Someone did thorough investigation work on it. The level of scammery that took place on that is ridiculous. But you still got folks that will still defend it, because people don't want to look at the fine print. And then the next group of people that benefited are politicians, because politicians can use it as fuel to rally black folks up to vote a certain way. Because all you got to do is say, hey, listen, I'm running for office and I need your vote. And then you just add in there, hey, that's why we need reparations. And that gets people all excited and everything else. That's right. I'm going to vote for you because you just threw it out there. So it's fuel for them to get to their destination. But once they get in office, reparations ain't going to even be an issue. It won't even be an issue because they ain't going to talk about it. They're not going to even bring it up once they get elected. But they sure was able to make a fool out of you, wasn't it? So there's a lot of hands that right now, as we speak, that are making a ton of money and are getting a lot of benefit off of just this social media grifting that's going on to get black folks excited about something. They put a picture in your mind, but they know themselves in reality It's not going to happen. Not in that way. You're not going to be in a situation where the United States is going to be handing out $15 million checks to everybody, or 20 million or $1 billion. That's not happening. And if they do it, it's going to be cryptocurrencies. And you don't want that, because if it's cryptocurrencies, that simply means that all they got to do is flip a switch, and now you don't have a bank to put your money in. You understand what I'm saying? So I wanted to see if there was something else on that. So those are the two things there that I really wanted to bring out on this, is that when you see, so when you hear people bringing this stuff up as far as reparations is concerned, and, you know, the different bills that are out there where they're saying that they're going to, they're setting aside this amount of money and that amount of money. My challenge to you is to look at the details. Ask who is in this bill. Who's going to get paid in this bill? Don't just tell me, well, we need that money to push it through. Okay, who? Explain it to me like I'm a 3-year-old. Who's getting that money? Who's getting that money? And who's it going to? Are they qualified to do this work? How much is this commission getting paid out of this bill? What is your experience in this? But they get you all gassed up and excited, making you think that, honey, our check is coming. Let me ask you something. Last thing. Did they have to formulate a commission for all the billions of dollars they've been sending over to the Ukraine? Think about this for a second. Use your brain here for a second. Did they have to establish commissions, set aside money? I want you to hear what I'm saying coming out of my mouth. Did they have to set aside money to establish a commission to investigate how they are to disperse, how they're to get money into the hands of people in the Ukraine? Did they have to do that, or did they just sign a check and just send it right over there? They're grifting you right before your eyes, and you don't even realize it. And the very people that are pushing this are already getting their reparations checks, but you ain't. They do this all the time because they know a lot of our people are too slow, especially when it comes to financial and economic things. I said to someone the other day, I said, bottom feeders attract non-readers, because people, as long as you're not willing to read and investigate and ask questions on your own, the bottom feeders are there for you. This applies in politics. It applies in religion. It applies to just about anything. If you are an individual that's not willing to invest and ask questions, read, investigate, hold people accountable, then the bottom feeders are there for you. It's just what it is. So anyway, I think that's it. I don't want to prolong this, but I hope you, if anything, this challenges you to ask these hard questions. This is not a step forward. It's not a step forward. I hate to break your little bubble here. This ain't a step forward. What it is that by the time this thing is all said and done, it's a step into the nearest Chipotle, so that you can get that. If you do end up getting your $12, you can get yourself a burrito or maybe a bowl and not even a drink. But you're excited because you're making in your mind, you think this is progress. But in reality, the main Negroes that are pushing this thing are pushing it so that because they are getting paid off of it. They already know the deal. They already know how this is going to play out. The question is, do you? Thank you for tuning in. Take care. I'll see you in the next video.